Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe KingOhger from Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger, our new Sentai series. So it's a little confusing. The team is the KingOhgers, but then the mecha is also just called KingOhger. It's a little confusing to me. If anyone has any explanations, feel free to let me know in the comments below. But it's a really cool looking mecha. It's made up of 10 different bugs. I love the artwork here on the front of the box. He's looking absolutely dynamic in that pose. And he's kind of like in the town square here with the platforms looming in the background. Really, really cool shot here. But you can already tell he's got a ton of articulation. They're really stepping up their game in terms of articulation for the Sentai robots, which I think is long past due. I think it's phenomenal that they're actually, committing to this. And this guy even beats Donon Taijin in terms of articulation, which is awesome. Now, this is a massive box, so it's kind of barely fitting in my review station here, but it's absolutely massive. If we spin it around to the side here, and I can try to negate some of this glare, you have a picture of KingOhger up here. It says craft and action. I don't really know what that means. I guess that just means that they made something that looks cool, but it also has posability. That's what I'm assuming that means. And it's true. It does look very cool, and it definitely has posability. Spinning around over here on this side, kind of just have another picture of KingOhger and some warnings and whatnot. Down here, we have a cool shot of the 10 bugs. And then up top, we have a team group shot, which is very cool. Spinning it around to the back, I really like this quite a bit. This is another cool pick. So you have the 10 bugs up here, all kind of zooming towards you, which looks really neat. And then down here on the bottom, it actually breaks down. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer on this. That should be a little better. So we have the kind of 10 bugs. We have God Kuwagata, number 1, which is the Kuwagata beetle. God Tombo, which is the dragonfly. Then down here we have God Kamakiri, which is the praying mantis. God Papillon, which is the butterfly. Then where's the next one? God Hachi, the bee, over here. Then we have 2 God Tento, which are the ladybugs. 2 God Kumo, which are the spiders. And then we have God Ant, is the last and final and tiniest of all the bugs. But very, very cool. Packaging is really nice. You get 10 mecha. I mean, let's be honest, they're not all equal, but there are 10 in this box, which is actually pretty cool. So I love the packaging here. I think this looks fantastic. I'm going to go ahead, get everything out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. All right, so here are the contents of the box. As you can see, we have quite a bit of stuff to go through. I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through them one by one. We'll start with God Kuwagata. There's a little bit of assembly involved with him, and then we'll start making our way through the rest of them. All right, so for God Kuwagata, you get the main section here. And unfortunately, this is just a little loose. I kind of wish this pegged into the back of the legs here a little bit better. But you can open these up if you want to kind of pretend he's flying to expose his wings, which is kind of cool. You do have to go ahead and connect the legs. So there's a bit of a transformation required. This is how they come in the packaging. And basically, you want to kind of just get these little legs out of the way. And then you're going to open this up all the way like this. And I have to remember which way this is going to go. So this will connect, I believe, on this side. So then these you kind of fold down like this. You're going to want to bend this up. He's kind of got double jointed elbows, as we'll see when we get into the actual robot mode. But this kind of goes up at like a 45-degree angle. Then it comes back down. And then you have the little bug leg hiding the fist. I mean, it's not hiding it well, but you can see the robot fist right there. I guess technically if you wanted to, you could kind of turn it a little bit if you would like to do something like that. It hides it a little bit. And then you go ahead and just click this right on there. And then we have one of the leg sections / arm sections done. We're going to come over here and do the same thing. This is going to flip out like this. And then we're going to kind of just put these out to the side. Then we're going to bring this up, bring this down. And then, like I said, if you'd like to hide the fist, I kind of just like to do that. I just think it looks a little better. And then you can clip this over here on this side. There we go. You're also going to want to use this joint here to kind of pop this part out to the side a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to run into some clearance issues with the thighs of the robot mode. But there we go. There is God KingOhger. Now, I will say the front legs do not support the weight. So depending on how you have like this section back here, it's going to just kind of fall forward and just rest on these parts, because unfortunately these are not strong enough to actually like stand up on those legs, which is not a big deal. I didn't really expect them to be. This thing's fairly weighty, but just so you know. Now these are on ball joints, so you can move these around all you want. These move. There's a joint here. Of course, we've already seen this joint. There's a swivel here. There's these two joints here. You can move the wrist. You can move these around. So it's a lot of articulation already. Obviously, this guy's going to be the core of the larger robot. But just in terms of the beetle mode, you can kind of move these in and out if you'd like to kind of get some pincer action going on there. You can even move them up and down if you want, although that looks a little awkward for the beetle. That is not supposed to come down yet. But yeah, it's a cool looking beetle mode. Like I said, if you wanted to pretend he's flying around, you can kind of open up the wings a little bit. Something like that. So it's nice. I think it's pretty big. I like it quite a bit. So now that we have him fully assembled, we'll move on to God Tombo and probably God Papillon. We'll do those two together. So not much assembly required here. We're going to take what will be the sword for the robot mode, but is the tail for the dragonfly, and just come here. You can see that there is a circular peg hole and a clip. And so you're just going to line these up, and that will clip right in there. And then we have our dragonfly, really nice long tail here, with what will be the blade for the sword in robot mode. Some really nice metallic green paint here for the eyes. You have a little bit of molding here for the mouth. Nice silver paint. Not really much in terms of articulation, just the wings can kind of go up and down. This is something I meant to mention with KingOhger. I'll bring him back in a second. But all of the bugs have this kind of like paint deco where there's like worn paint in spots. And I thought at first something happened in the packaging, but that's what they're going for. So you can kind of see like it almost looks like some of it is worn off here. It's not symmetrical. Like here's some white, yellow, white. There's just yellow, white on this side. So just, I guess that's the aesthetic they're going for. Just kind of like random pops of color with this kind of worn paint dynamic. You can see it over here on Papillon as well. You have a little bit of white throughout the blue. But otherwise the blue and the purple looks really great. Now, Papillon has the head of the combined robot, and so because of that, the neck joint for the combined robot kind of dictates the movement of this, this bottom part. The ball joint for the head of the robot is kind of making this move all around, and you'll notice if I sit this, it starts to droop forward, so not the best, but otherwise you can just kind of move the wings up and down a little bit. Not much else in terms of articulation. But let me bring KingOhger back in for a second. And you can see what I mean. Here's some just kind of like random yellow and blue paint. There's a little bit of white up here as well. Some black. I don't know why. One of the legs over here is kind of gold, but none of the others are. You can see there's a very asymmetrical look, which is fine. I mean, not everything has to be symmetrical. But it's definitely something they're going for. So it's not like the paint's worn off or anything. They just went for a more asymmetrical look. But yeah, both of these are pretty cool. Let's move on to our two feet bugs with Hachi and Kamakiri. Alright, so these two become the feet slash boots, I guess, of the main robot. Kind of a real minor section of the leg, to be quite honest. So for transformation for this one, this is already in like the boot mode. This is how it comes in the box. But you're going to flip this piece around like so. And then this section is going to lift up like this. And then you're going to bring these down. And then you're going to have these two yellow pieces and then these two gray pieces to act as the legs. And then you can kind of move the arms around as you want. They have a little bit of play in and out, but it's mostly just up and down. And then you can kind of move the actual mantis head here is on a ball joint. So you can move that all around. Really nice paint there for the head. I especially like the pink for the eyes. I think that's really sharp. It's not the best mantis, I'll be honest, but it's fine. It gets the job done. And there you go. Now that can stand. You can lift the claws up. Claws? Not really claws. What would you call these? scythes. I don't know. What do you call arms? I guess we'll say arms. Let's just go with arms. All right, over here for Hachi, the bee, you can just kind of move the wings out, and then this section will flip around. Now, the wings are on complete ball joints, which is nice, and they are devoid of any weird paint applications. So I forgot to point this out, but Kamakiri does have a little bit down here, a little bit of blue and white, but for the most part, pretty clean as far as those random paint splotches. Pretty symmetrical for the most part in terms of her paint design. Hachi is pretty much the same way, mostly just orange here. You can see there's a little bit of white, and again, it just almost looks like someone smeared some of it off. But then the wings are clean, and again, those are complete ball joints there, so you can move them all around however you like, which is pretty cool. The head's painted very nicely. Love that kind of deep maroon for the eyes. So you can kind of position the wings how you like, and then you have the stinger. And if you want to bring the stinger a little forward, like he's coming in to sting somebody, you absolutely can. But that's the official transformation all the way back like that. So there is our mantis and our bee. All right, so then we have all of our little extra support bugs. 2 ladybugs, 2 spiders, and an ant. The ant is just one solid piece of plastic, absolutely no movement whatsoever. Decent amount of molding and detail, but it's just completely molded out of one piece of black plastic. Then we have 2 ladybugs, which I believe are exactly the same. I do not believe there are any differences whatsoever in the 2 ladybugs. The 2 spiders are basically the same. They just have their colors inverted. This is how they come in the packaging, and then you just kind of bring the legs down at a 45-degree angle. Now, technically, if you wanted, you could bring them all the way down if you like that look better. But I kind of like them at like a 45-degree angle. And they have some nice paint for the eyes. And then the back here on the thorax. I think it's only a thorax for insects. I think for arachnids it's... I don't know. I'm not that much of a bug guy. In any case, you can see they have the colors inverted. Really nice metallic green paint there for the spider eyes, which is really cool. So yeah. That's it for these. Not really too much to do with these. They don't really have... I mean, 3 out of the 5 have no articulation. The spiders, you can just kind of move the legs 90 degrees. That's basically it. But yeah, pretty neat. So trying to get a group shot here, it's a little difficult. I wish we had some stands for some of these, like flying insects. But obviously they don't even really have like stand spots or anything like that. And let's be honest, you're going to display the thing in robot mode anyway, so it's not really that much of a big deal. But it's fun to see all 10 of them together, which I think is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and let's get into the transformation. So we'll start here with KingOhger. Now the official directions that came, I shouldn't say came with the toy because there are no paper instructions anymore. But when you scan the QR code on the box and it takes you to the website, those instructions seem very involved and like they have all these step-by-step instructions, but it's fairly intuitive. So you just kind of take KingOhger here. You're going to move these pieces out of the way. Eventually what you need to do is you need to bring this down, and then that will clip into place right there. And then you're going to bring this up, straighten out the arms, bring these up like this, and then you want to bring these around like that. And that's really all you have to do. Then you want to kind of put these up however you like. I mean, that's kind of what you're going for, but that's kind of where you just want them to end up. So again, just kind of fold this around, straighten out the arms, bring this down like so, put these up here. Then you want to just kind of flip these around and straighten out the forearm or the fists. And then I kind of like to just kind of, you know, put it out a little bit. Now, these things do get in the way of the shoulder articulation a little bit. It's not a huge problem, but just something to be aware of. Just the actual shoulder joint. All the rest of the arm joints are fine. So at this point, this just kind of falls back here. I kind of wish it clicked into place, but it doesn't. And then you just want to split this apart as far as it'll go, like that. And then you're pretty much done. The only other thing you want to do is bring these up and then just pop them 45 degrees to the side, and they'll kind of, you know, align with where these are all over the shoulder. That's it. That's pretty much it. It was really simple. Like I said, the directions make it seem way more complicated, but that is pretty much it. And now KingOhger is ready to go. Next up, we have our 2 feet. So we're going to transform them back exactly how we found them originally in the box. These will flip back here like this. This will flip back around like so. This will come down like this. And the arms kind of hit a natural stopping point. They kind of just hit into the plastic, and then you just kind of straighten out the head. So there is 1 foot. And then you're going to take this piece, flip that around. I feel like that wants to go one more time, but it does not. Then you just bring these down like this. And there we go. Our 2 feet are done. All right, so for Papillon, we're going to go ahead and take this section here. It can be a little difficult, but you need to grab a hold of the head somehow and pop it out of the rest of the butterfly, just like that. So that's where it disconnects. There's like a weird clip up inside here. So put that off to the side. Take this section, flip the horns up, and then the little feet, legs, whatever you want to call them, of the butterfly, flip around and become kind of like shoulder pads. But we can get a quick look here at the head of KingOhger. Nicely painted. I like the sculpt. I really like the metallic blue eyes. And then, of course, you have that ball joint. Really nice amount of articulation there, which is very cool. For Tombo, we just go ahead and disconnect the tail again. That's literally all you have to do. So now all of these sections are ready to go. All right, so we will take KingOhger and attach our shoes. Clip that in. That accidentally went too far. There we go. Clip this in. There we go. So now at this point, I kind of like to, bend the knees or something a little bit, just because the feet are a little, I kind of like to, there we go, clip that like that. It's just about finding the right angle for the feet to sit flat, really. But there we go. That is most of that done. We will spin around to the back, and that should be laying down like that. We will take the top section of the dragonfly, and there is a track here between the legs, and that is going to slide onto this little track right here. So this is going to come up and just clip on right there like that. And I will swivel this up a bit. We're going to take the head section. There's a clip right here, and there's a clip right here. So this is just going to clip on like so. So as of right now, this is what your KingOhger would look like if you didn't have any of those 5 small support bugs. They're not necessary, but I think the reason that they put them on here is just because he looks a little thin. He looks a little not filled out. He looks a little lanky. So I think it totally makes sense. But if for some reason you like the look of him without the 5 bugs, he can still hold together. You still get a full robot here without them. But we're going to take our ladybugs and we're going to pop them onto the forearms here to fill out these sections a little bit. And they just clip right on from the top. We're going to take our spiders and we are going to fold them all the way forward again. And then we just clip one onto this clip here on the crotch. And then we clip the other one into this section here. Like so. And then all that's left is to build our sword. So we take the majority of Papillon. We are going to use this clip right here. And that's going to clip on here. So that clips on like that. And then we just take the ant and he just clips on around there. And then we just go ahead and peg that sword into one of the fists. And there we go. We have our completed KingOhger. So first up, I wanted to do a few size comparisons. So if we move KingOhger off to the side, I will first compare him to Dawn on a Taijin, our main mecha from last year. So as you can see, he is definitely shorter. I'll see if I can zoom out here. I'm not going to be able to fit them all in shot, but you can see he comes up a little bit past Dawn on a Taijin's waist, which I would say is like not quite 2/3 as tall as Dawn on a Taijin. For another comparison, here is this guy, who is Don Zenkaio? Don Zenkaio? I can't remember his name. But yeah, so you can see he's a little bit taller than him, but obviously about 2/3 the size of Don Taijin. And then just for fun, here is a Voyager class Transformer, just for some other thing to compare it to. So I would say he's, if you figure these are probably 6 to 7 inches tall, I would say he's probably 10 to 11 inches tall. Don Taijin was probably 14 inches tall, somewhere in there. So I kind of feel like that's where we're at size comparison wise. But I would say he's closer in size to the Zenkaiger mechs, the basic ones, obviously not Zenryoku Zenkai or Zenryoku Zenkaio, whatever. I can't remember these names anymore. In any case, he's kind of closer in comparison to this than Donon Taijin. But he is a little bit taller than... I mean, this guy had such a large head, but he's a little bit taller than him. So, there's your size comparison. So honestly, I think KingOhger here is a good size. I think Donon Taijin was a little too big and cumbersome, so I feel like we're getting back into the right size. These things should be 10 to 12 inches tall, in my opinion. Some people did enjoy the giantness of Donon Taijin, and I did too, I have to admit, but I'm definitely okay with getting a little bit sized down to this more like 10 to 12 inch size. But he really does look good. I mean, he's got a lot of colors going on, which I think is a lot of fun. He's got the dragonfly wings on the back, which I think are really nice. These don't really get in the way too much at all. They're kind of just flayed back there. But he's got a ton of articulation. I'm going to go ahead and lose the sword temporarily, just so we can really get into the articulation, because he's like up there with a Transformer, honestly. This guy's pretty great. So we already took a look at that ball joint in the head, which is really nice. You have this movement here. Now, this is going to get in the way, but you can kind of pull the wings back, and if you wanted to bring this back, if you wanted to extend the arm like that, obviously it's going to hit into this. Now, you could technically move this out of the way, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the shoulder area, so it's a bit of a bummer, because it does kind of get in the way with these legs and the pincers and everything. But you can go back for sure, which I feel like is what you would mostly want, because you don't really need him to flip his arms backwards. But if you just want to move the wings out of the way, you can bring that down. Now these, again, will get in the way a little bit, but you can come out to the side as well. You just kind of have to move those around a little bit. You have a bicep swivel. You actually have like a double jointed elbow, which is kind of nuts. Now, I will say that these ladybugs get in the way. You can go back, no problem, but you're going to get to a point when you try to bend this way that they're going to hit into the arm. But it's okay, because you can just then utilize this other elbow. So if these ladybugs get in the way, and now they're popping off, there we go. So naturally you want to stop about here, but then you can go ahead and utilize this. So you do have a nice amount of motion there. You do have a wrist swivel right there. You do have a waist swivel, which is nice. Let me try to get these out of the way. You can kick really far off to the side here. Let me bring this forward. Actually, I guess does it stop there? I guess it wants to stop there. It doesn't seem... Oh, I see. Okay. I see what they did. So let me zoom in. There are these tiny little nubbins, which I feel like are not really necessary, but they do stop you at about there. I'm assuming it's a structural integrity thing. Like, there's going to be other things we're eventually going to be connecting to this, because it doesn't... I don't really see any reason why this couldn't kick out higher, but they put those little nubs there. You can go front to back, and you can hear that ratchet. That's really nice. You have a thigh swivel right there. Nice knee joint. You can't bend it forward, which is good, but 90 degrees there in the knee. I guess that's pretty much it, because then these are just connected. So, but still, I mean, for a Sentai mech, they've really come a long way, and I'm really happy that they're committing to doing more articulation for these, because there's really no reason they can't. I mean, I've seen them make other things, you know, other robots for other lines and things that have more articulation, so I know they know how to do it. But they're finally doing it, so it's not an argument anymore. This is good. He's got a lot of great articulation. I think he looks fantastic, and I'm really happy with what they have going on here. Very colorful, very fun, nicely painted, nicely articulated. Just all in all, I'm pretty happy with him. Let me move this back out to the side here. But yeah, he's pretty great. the last thing I wanted to show off real quick, if you got the early pre-order bonus, you got this little Don a Taijin helmet, and all this does is clip onto the face. Now, they tell you in the instructions that you're supposed to swivel these down to hide these, which you can. I actually think it looks cooler with the horns. And so you just pop this on the front here, and then you get, Don a Taijin's helmet on KingOhger. Now, I don't really know the reason for this. I'm assuming it just has to do with the association to this mech showing up for 5 seconds in that one episode of Dawn Brothers. Otherwise, I don't really know why this exists. It would be kind of an interesting anniversary idea if the mecha had, like, different helmets, throughout. I know, like, we got that a little bit with Gokaiger, with the mecha from the other seasons interacting. But it would be kind of neat if just, like, every time we got a new little bug, the bug was kind of either had the same colors as a past Sentai or had some kind of aspect of its design that was referencing a past Sentai, and then it came with a new mecha head. And so that every time you got a new bug, it was kind of referencing an old Sentai, and then it came with the helmet of that corresponding mecha. It would be a neat idea. I don't think anything like that is happening this year. I just think this was just a random thing they decided to do. But it would be neat. That would be kind of a neat idea. Just a subtle little, nod to the past years. Or even if they just wanted to do as a Gashapon line, not even have it tied into the show for any reason, but just do a Gashapon line with a bunch of different past Sentai mech helmets, and you can just clip them all on to KingOhger for no other reason than it's just fun. And it has nothing to do with the show, but that would be a really fun Gashapon line. So, again, I mean, it's neat. I don't really know why it exists. I don't know why that was the pre-order bonus, but here it is, and it's kind of cool. But if you didn't get it, I don't think you need to rush out and buy it. I wouldn't pay a ton of money for it if you missed out on it. It's a thing that exists. It's fine. It's here. It's kind of neat. It's definitely not necessary. I think KingOhger is a lot of fun. I think it's really neat to have 10 little mecha all in the box together as our main base transformation. I know 5 of them don't really do much, and they're basically just kind of ornamental, because you can absolutely form the robot without them, but it definitely looks a lot better with them attached, because it kind of fills out the robot mode and kind of just covers up some sparse areas and makes them feel a little bit more fuller, more complete. So I think it's really cool. I love the head sculpt. I love just the general design. He's very fun and colorful, very bright. I love the giant sword. I think the individual bugs are a lot of fun. I don't really have too much to complain about this guy. The only things that I don't 100% care for is the kind of weird paint applications that kind of look like they've been smudged off a little bit. I guess it's just kind of the style they're going for, a non-symmetrical paint design. And that's fine. And it's not so egregious that it's like in your face or is obnoxious or anything like that. Just a few small spots. I just thought that was a little weird. It caught me off guard a little bit. Let me straighten that out there. But it's honestly not a big deal. Just something to me, I kind of just personally like a more symmetrical design. But it's fine. But again, I'm just reaching for things because this guy is really awesome. So I'm trying to find something to point out that's not 100% because he's pretty great. Honestly, he's a lot of fun, really nicely articulated. I do like the shift down in size. I think that's a lot easier to deal with, especially if we're going to be adding more stuff on throughout the year, which I'm sure we will be. So it definitely makes sense to start off with a little bit smaller base. But he's also not so small. He's not like a Juo King or anything like that, where, he's 8 inches tall. I feel like this is a good size. This is a good starting point, in my opinion. Combination's fun. I had a lot of fun, tinkering around with it, taking it apart, forming the individual bugs, putting it together. The shoulder articulation is a little hindered by everything they got going on here, but I love the aesthetic of this. I like having the beetle legs up here, and then I like having the beetle pincer up here. I love the aesthetic of the shoulder. It just makes the actual articulation hindered a bit, but it's not so much that you can't work with it. So I think this guy's great. I mean, the little pre-order bonus, again, it's fine. It's not the greatest thing. I wouldn't really worry about it if you didn't get one. It's just kind of a weird thing. Like I said, if it was going to be a part of the show, or if there was going to be some kind of like line of these where we're going to get a bunch of these and it would make sense. But as a one-off, it's just kind of weird. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe more will be coming. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, as a one-off, it's just kind of weird. But again, I'm grasping at straws for things to complain about because this guy is pretty close to perfect. Honestly, I'm having a lot of fun with him. I'm really excited to see more of the show and see what other bugs and mecha and things we're going to be attaching. I know we have 2 smaller support bugs coming soon, if they're not out already. And then we're getting another beetle. I think it's a, is it a rhino beetle? I'm not up on my beetles. Might be a Hercules beetle. I think it's a rhino beetle. There's another beetle coming, and we're going to see that pretty soon as well, I think, before the end of the month. So very excited to see what's coming next, but just as the initial entry here, I think he's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend checking him out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.